Hey, how you doing, Karen?
All right. How are you?
Good.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to have an opportunity to chat with you.
I'm excited to do it also. Thank you so much for doing this, Randy. This is such a service that you're performing. First with Peter, now me. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, this is just an incredible opportunity, I think, for people in our community and people all across our community, greater community of New York City, to have a chance to ask questions of and hear the stories of people that are making a difference, and you're really one of those people that are making an amazing difference in our community. So for the people that don't know you, if you don't mind just introducing yourself and just letting us know a little bit about what you do professionally.
Okay, very good. So I'm Karen Brody, and I'm a psychologist. I was psychologist at Packer Collegiate Institute for many, many years, dealing with kids from 4 through 18. I then became psychologist at Hannah Senish Community Day School, and now I am mainly a psychotherapist in private practice. I'm also a parent, and I have small grandchildren, so I cover the gamut of ages, and I'm happy to be here with you all today.
Well, thank you. And so, we're all going through a really unprecedented time in our lives, especially, us here in New York, where it's just everyone's world is turned upside down, but being kind of in the epicenter of this has really taken a toll on us individuals, and I thought it would be important to talk about how families are dealing with these changes, especially families with children. And you and I talked a bit about this before. We got on this call,
Oh,
and I'd love for you to talk about some of the things that we had been speaking about. You said there's
okay.
10 things that we really need to start thinking about and that
Right.
might be helpful.
Okay, so I'm going to go through them quickly, and then there's a chat line. If you have some questions, feel free to put them in. Hello, everybody. So I want to begin not so much with our children, but with ourselves. You are called upon right now to do things you never signed up for. So as parents, you are also, besides being caretakers, you are performing a function of a nurse. You're a doctor, you're a teacher, you're a counselor, you're a playmate, you're a referee. And so many of those responsibilities are on your shoulders alone, you parents. You're not sharing them with others, like teachers, like coaches, like other parents. They're yours. And it's a huge responsibility. And it is totally understandable that there are times when your stress level is so high because of all that you're called upon to do, let alone if you have a job outside of the family, outside of family responsibilities that you're trying to do as well. So I have a total amount of compassion for what you're going through right now. And I think you need to pat yourself on the back and say, I'm doing well and I'm doing the best I can in these circumstances, which are challenging, very challenging. So that's why the first and second points are take care of yourself and know what you need to do to help yourself. If it's a few minutes of time out, then you need to take it. Whether it's sitting and meditating, whether it's time in a bath, whether it's whatever it is that is going to help you feel in touch with yourself and calmer at a time when we are very, very challenged. It's what we call self-regulation. You know about it and you need to do it now more than ever. Because moving on to children, if we're going to make children feel safe, we have to feel okay ourselves. If we're all agitated and all anxious and fearful, it's going to be transmitted to our kids, and it's not going to be helpful in the situation. So when I talk about some time out, to help yourself calm down, to help yourself remember that this is temporary, that this is not forever. Yes, we do not know when it's over. That's true, but it will be over. It will pass. And you need to tell yourself that as we tell our children that. Okay. So now, number 4, what do children know? This has been going on now for 8 weeks. So I'm sure that all of you have by now had the conversation about, what is this COVID-19 virus? And you've told your kids that, well, before you've told your kids anything, you've asked them, what do you know? So it's always very important to find out what they're thinking before we load them up with facts. What do they know? What are they going on? What ideas? Where have they heard it? And you may be very, very surprised to hear what they think. But then when they say, well, tell me, what is this? And we say, well, it's a new virus. We've had coronavirus before. This is a new one. This is 19. And it's a germ, and it's spread through the nose, the mouth. And that's why we wear masks, to protect ourselves. If someone should sneeze, it doesn't come on ourselves. And it can also come on our hands. So we wear gloves. It can feel like the flu. Remember when you had the flu and you had a fever and a cough and you were achy? And to tell them that most everyone recovers, and to tell them that we in this family, all of us, are protecting ourselves, and we're protecting ourselves to keep ourselves safe. And then to make sure they know how proud you are of them and the kind of power that they're exhibiting right now to resist the fact that they can't go out, that they can't see their friends, that they can't go in the playground. And they're resentful and they're frustrated, and you know that. And there's a great source of comfort and support and well-being in knowing that whatever they're feeling, you understand. And you have empathy, and you understand that it's a difficult situation that they're in, and you acknowledge those feelings. And it's very important to listen to their descriptions of what's going on, and then to share your perspective. Because what can start to happen if we don't listen is that the feelings and the thoughts are bottled up inside. And make no mistake, they will be acted out. And you'll see an increase of fighting. You may see tantrums. You'll see maybe bedwetting, maybe all kinds of stress relievers because they're upset. And when we don't have someone to tell, it becomes unspeakable. So we don't want their thoughts and feelings to be unspeakable. We want to be able to listen. And we want to be able to listen knowing that things become much more exaggerated during stressful times. So I don't want you to be listening and to be too upset about what they're saying. Things like, I hate my brother. I wish he had never been born. Okay. That's how they're feeling today. And stress just amps everything up. Frustration just amps everything up. And when things calm down, so will their thoughts and their feelings. And you can listen and you can say, I understand.
What's a way of drawing out some of their thoughts and feelings? Sometimes, I could tell you with my son, sometimes we ask him, how are you? And fine. Is there anything you want to talk about? No. What are some good tools and some ways that we can prompt these conversations?
Okay, right. That's a great question, Randy. And one of the ways is spelled P-L-A-Y, and that's called play. And so in some time that we have, it's a great idea to sit with them when they're playing with action figures, with dolls, with drawings, with clay, where they're pounding. And suddenly you see a lot of violence, you see a lot of extreme behavior that maybe they couldn't tell you directly and own directly, but you can see it in their play and you can say, wow, wow. And don't worry about it. I want to say that again and again to parents. Don't worry if you see a lot of violence coming out, a lot of, I'm going to kill that. Yeah, that's right. They're feeling those things, they're hearing those things, they're seeing them, and they're going to play and act them out. So what they may not be able to tell you, they may very well be able to show you. And you know these kids, right? You know them from the birth. You know their temperament, you know their style, you know that there are certain kids who can sit for an hour and do a puzzle. And there are other kids who need to move around to activate their attentional focus properties. That if they sit, they just phase out. So they need to be walking around. Don't worry about that. That's just how they are. Kids have their own unique temperaments, and we can respect it and acknowledge it. Also, you're going to see them working with teachers, right? Some things you're going to see will delight you. Oh, wow, look how responsive he is. I didn't know she knew those letters and numbers. Wow. You may see other things that don't delight you, that, oh my God, that I didn't understand he couldn't do that. I didn't know she had trouble with that. Okay, that could happen. And know that the ability to focus and to think clearly is somewhat compromised at times of stress. Know that it's a given. So calm down, notice, register it, and then we'll see in the future. Time will tell. Okay, so it's just a note. We make a note. I see. Okay, and we're careful with what we demand, right? It's not perfect work. It's just work, and they do it as best they can, and then it's done, and they want it to be done. I want to also stress, Randy, that from early on at this time, we want them to understand that we're in relationship. You and me, son, you and me, daughter. And what that means is I can't do this all by myself. I just can't, right? I need your help. I need your input. I need your power to do things. If it's making the bed, whatever would be helpful, setting the table. I don't know what it is in your home, but give them responsibility and, let them know that we're in this together. We're in relationship, and relationship takes two. I can't make this happen myself. And then we admire so much what they do and how strong they're being and how you appreciate what they are giving to you. That's really important. Okay. Just a couple more things. We talked about the empathy for their thoughts and feelings. Again, this falls under the rubric of know your child, and it's called routines. There are children who are born needing routines early on because the way their neurology is set up, they really have trouble doing it themselves. Some kids are born knowing they have a schedule that's inside of them, and you can appreciate it. Other kids don't. And so routines are important. It's not just, well, I don't have school. I don't know. Yeah, we get up and we have our breakfast and we brush our teeth and we check our list because we always have our list. And so our life is making sense to us. We have a routine. We have school, we have whatever it is, but make sure they know that that routines are important, especially for your child who really requires it to thrive. And you know that child, right? Yeah. Let's see. Screen time. some of my patients have talked to me a lot about, I want to relax my requirements for screen time. Is that okay, Karen?
Everything is like a plane flight.
Yeah.
Just like, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Whatever
well,
gets you through.
which we want to get through every day, right? That's one of our goals, to get through. And we can allow a little more screen time, and we can watch with them. And I remember when my daughter and she almost failed a final exam because we sat and watched The Witness about 4 times the movie. We just loved it and we couldn't stop watching it. All right, that's not great parenting, but boy, was it wonderful. So you're going to adjust screen time. Notice their hobbies. Make sure they have enough supplies at home. If it means ordering puzzles, Bits and Pieces is a great company that has jigsaw puzzles. Outdoor play is really necessary. And if they can hook in with their friends on social networks, on FaceTime, on Skype, that's also very nice for them to do it. And lastly, I want to say that the word resilience means that life has its challenges for all of us. And if I knew you, you could list 10 challenges that you've had in your life very, very quickly. We're all being challenged right now. That is a given. And the ability to deal with life's challenges, and I don't want to say bounce back, but learn how to adapt to them is the source of growing strength, right? Childhood is not going to be an impossible act to follow because they've had hardships and they've come through, and we're proud of them for coming through, and we're coming through as well.
It's such a crazy time, and we're getting a lot of questions that are sometimes difficult to answer, and going through how much do we let them know of what's really happening, how much do we try to shield from them, when they ask some big questions that we might not have answers to, how honest should we be? And obviously it's different for every different age of child and nature of child, and adults too, but how do we kind of balance that?
Right. So the first rule, and that is an absolute, is that we try our hardest never to lie to children. So of course we don't say, well, in a month it's all going to be over, you'll be back in school on June 10th, because we don't know that. And it's important to be able to say to a child, that's a great question. I don't know the answer. I don't think any of us do. I don't think we know. I think we know it's going to be over. That we do know.
Yeah.
But rather than just focus on, when, let's try and focus on today and how we can make this a day that has some pleasure in it for us, some happiness in it for us, knowing that this will end, but let's take advantage of this time we have together. Enjoy it. Enjoy being together. And that's a lovely thing for a family to think about, that it's an opportunity for us to be together. And for the questions, like especially as kids get older, they're 10, they're 14, we can read up on things, but we wanna really limit the amount of TV watching they're doing as far as the news and all these doctors' reports and things that may scare them and lead to nightmares and stuff. So we want to be judicious in what we expose them to also, but it's helpful for a child to hear a parent say, I don't know. It takes us off the pinnacle of omnipotence and omniscience, and it makes us real and lovable.
That's a great answer. I love that. I feel like I'm constantly just baffled by some of the questions that we're And yeah, I mean, it's okay for us not to know all the answers,
Absolutely.
you know. And I'm sure a lot of couples are going through this, which can be difficult for a lot of people. Is one partner may be inundated with work
Right.
more than another partner, and the other partner is being relied upon for the teaching and the home education. I could tell you, just from personal experience, my wife is dealing with a lot with, teaching the kids, running all of us, and she's has a lot more responsibilities on her shoulders, and it's difficult. And of course, the other partner wants to pick up as much slack as possible. But what are some good ways to make sure that couples, two people, are still, taking care of each other when they have all of this other stuff, that it's not just one person who feels like they're doing it all, but
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult, Randy. Because sometimes in some families, it is one parent who's doing most of it because the other parent has the kind of a job where they're compelled to be on most of the day, and that's just true. But sometimes it's not, and
And now
sometimes,
this adds a whole other,
yeah,
now they're teachers as well as
that's right,
caretakers
absolutely.
and
Yep,
psychologists and
yep,
playmates
yep,
and all
yep.
of that.
Right, right. And boy, do they need to have a good friend or someone to talk to
And
and share their
timeout
feelings in
time.
the timeout time. Absolutely. Absolutely. They're entitled to it. And the partner who is working needs to know that he or she, could be a she, has to say a timeout from the work so I can relieve my spouse. Um, and I think what's most important is for them to be talking honestly and openly and make sure there's time set aside for the two adults to talk to each other openly and frankly. And if it's resentment, to share it, but to understand that it's going to take a lot to keep this family going at this point. And sometimes it's not 50-50. It just can't be. But as much as the person who's working can take a break and relieve the other person, it's necessary.
Because especially, in our situation, my wife also has a full-time
She
job.
has a job,
She
absolutely.
has everything. And the
Yeah.
moms who are also taking care of the kids and teaching and doing every single thing, also
Yeah.
many of them work full-time jobs as well.
Yes.
And or the dads, if that's, in that dynamic. It's
Right.
just, what you were talking about is having empathy, taking time outs, I think, is so important. And
Yeah.
to really know that everybody hopefully is doing the best that they can,
Yes.
you know.
Right. Right. And that we're talking openly and honestly. Listen, this is how I feel when for 10 hours you didn't get off that damn computer and you weren't with me at all. And I really needed a break.
Yeah.
To be able to hear that and not get defensive and not start an argument, but say, oh boy, you're right. I'm going to have to plug that in. You're absolutely right. Because it is too much for somebody to be with kids for an unending amount of time. It's unnatural. We're not wired that way. And so as much as we can appreciate the struggles we're each going through, that's better. And that's a more loving way of being.
Yeah. Finding time for yourself, and allowing your partner to have time for themselves, seems like obvious. But just listening to you talking about it, it's like, oh, yes, of
It's
course.
necessary.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, Randy, that maybe one of those parents is not used to playing with the kid, is not used to getting down on the floor and doing all those things. And maybe she or he, I want to say either, don't enjoy it. It's possible.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's now time to learn.
Right.
It's now time to, put a new page in your book. You have to learn because we are confined. We are confined and we have to share responsibilities.
Yeah,
Let's be honest. You
yeah,
could have gotten away. You chose not to. Let's be
right.
honest.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you must, for harmony. Yeah.
And, you know, it's so easy to get stressed out if you have a job already that is just, you know, demanding of your time. You know, in our community, and I'm sure in communities all over the country, there's sometimes both partners have 12-hour shifts, long days, and we're used to being out of the house doing these long jobs and coming back, and now we're all together,
Yes.
24 hours, 24/7 pretty much.
Right.
And, you know, not used to
Yeah.
spending 24/7 with a person that you love and adore. You love and adore them, but you're not used to spending 24/7 with them. And the kids
Yes.
that you love and adore, you're not
Right.
used to spending 24/7.
That's right.
So,
That's absolutely true.
and what about if you're in a 800 square foot 2-bedroom apartment, or a 1-bedroom converted to a 2-bedroom, and you're in, you know, in the city?
Absolutely.
How do you find some space for yourself? It's very difficult. Yeah.
Right, right. So we have to give each other permission to leave that house, to leave that 800 square foot apartment, and take a walk, and, you know, stand near the water if you can, and breathe it in and relax, and then come back. It's a challenge. Know that it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Yeah. That's
And
right.
we're all going through it. It's
Yes.
just everybody on the planet right now is going
Yes.
through what we're talking
Right.
about.
Absolutely.
So there is some solace knowing that we are all here to take care of each other
Right.
and to be there for each other. And,
Absolutely.
you know,
That's a good point. And we're in this together. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Karen. It
You're
was just a
welcome.
joy to have you on. And to
Oh,
talk
it was
to you
my
today.
pleasure. And again, for all of us, Randy, thank you for doing this. It's a very good service. Thank you.